Hello there friends, my name is Anthony. Welcome to this channel. Welcome to this episode where I was asked some questions in relation to hybridization programs or hybrid programs, hybrid beings, hybrid races, hybrid humans, hybrid ETs, but also too, where do these hybrid programs take place? Who are the Sassani? Who are the YahYels? And what's all this hybrid talk we keep hearing about? I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you in the next show.
Okay, moving on to hybridization. Are you a hybridized human?
Absolutely. Hybridized with 3 reptilian DNAs, Earth reptilian DNA from the Poland-Ukrainian region, THETA TAURI, hybridized reptilian DNA, and now with alpha draconian hybrid process that I've gone through several different races, Demon-Ga race, including KALASK race, so absolutely. And I'm very proud of my reptilian and draconian hybridized process that I've gone through, tools and things and mental warfare and psychological warfare, enabling of the keys and integration of their energy through the spinal fluid, reptilian brain, heart, third eye, all of these things, absolutely.
In your book, you spoke of the hybridization program you went through with the YahYel race. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, you're right. I know you read the book. Yes, the YahYel race, which is the hybrid group of the Zeta beings, Pleiel, Sassani, so all these different hybrid groups. And most humans that are in the hybrid programs don't know they're in the programs. The genetic extractions are happening all the time. These extractions through either lower back, which is the skin, whether it is the eggs being removed from women, whether it is sperm being removed from men, sexual intercourses are done. So when the man ejaculates, that sperm is then removed. All these things are happening all the time. My involvement was actually, to be honest with you, not even something I even knew of. I had no idea I was even part of this. It started in the early 20 program. So in the early 20s, this program, I think I was 24 or 23 maybe. And there were some issues with my heart, and the YahYel beings were able to assist with that, remove one of the clogged arteries with the help of a main specialist, which was a mantis being, the very first time I encountered a mantis. So eventually, when I realized I was in this program on the basis of allowing them to use my sperm, allowing them to use my genetic extractions, these materials, I was already in my 30s. So then eventually when I started to talk to KALASK and Draconians and Earth Reptilians and Theta Tauri, this took obviously several years. That's when I left that program. Not left, I just simply said, I no longer want to be part of your program. And when the YahYels and Sassani saw who is Theta Tauri from the Taurus constellation, who is KALASK, they absolutely simply just took a step back. And we're on good terms, don't get me wrong. I have nothing against in any way YahYels. They're a beautiful little race, positive race, benevolent race. I have great memories with them, but I'm no longer involved in that program, no.
Can you provide a breakdown of these hybrid races, their hierarchy, who's on the top, who's on the bottom?
Well, that's a good question, because that's something that most people are sort of confused about. They just say, we heard Derelenka channel Bashar, and Sassani is really something that they're on Earth just to channel, but that's not true. Sassani are not on Earth within the Earth's reality to channel through one human or through any other human. They're here for the purposes of obtaining human genetics through women, through men, through sexual intercourses, lower back, as I said, through our skin. Our skin they see not just as the largest organ that we have, but also they see it as a great filter. So they're here to take our DNA for the purposes of, yes, of course, reproduction, but also for the purposes of trading. It's something I've covered in my book, and people don't want to talk about this. I shot a documentary in the summer of 2024 in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills with fascinating film producers, Michael Mazzola, as well as his partner Serena, and the movie is called The Hybrids. And many people were in this documentary, and so was I. But it just so appeared, what I was told, that I'm the only one that was talking about human DNA being extracted and then sold and traded in the galaxy on the black market. And that's because we have multidimensional DNA. Other beings don't have that. They have their own DNA. We have multidimensional DNA. So our DNA is unfortunately extracted. And because of that, different hybrid groups want our DNA. So there's not just one hybrid group of Sassani. There's not just YahYels. There's not just Pleiels. There are definitely 7 main groups. But what I found out through my own contacts, there are over 200,000 different sources and avenues where our obtained DNA goes. And some of it is not even through Zeta Reticuli. Some of it is not even to reptilians, insectoids, aquatic, felines, Sasquatch, Sataskaid. Different beings want our DNA. AI races want our DNA. So what's the hierarchy system of these hybrids? Well, right now, the Zeta Reticuli, who started this program by getting a permission from the Draconian Empire to go in their own past, which is our present, to take our DNA, that's over. It's done. They've saved themselves in a way. The beings who run the program today, the main custodians of the program, the managers of the entirety of the hybrid program between humans and Zetas are the YahYels. YahYels run it all now.
In your estimation, what's the total number of humans involved in these hybridization programs?
You mean worldwide? I would say anywhere in the vicinity of probably 20% of our population, 20 to 21% of human population today. And the population we see, by the way, on the internet is not true human numbers. The 10 billion, 9 billion, 11 billion. No, let's not play games here. The real population of human beings is about 3.6 billion to 3.9 billion. The rest are what I call myself, androids. There's some clones, absolutely. There's some shapeshifters. There's also some AI projections. They're just some visitors. They take a temporary shape of a human being and they'll walk through Times Square or Las Vegas Strip or go to a nightclub just to experience human life. That's it. So about 20% of humans, organic humans, are involved in hybrid programs from different groups, about 20%.
When we are hybridized with another race, does that affect us as the parent race?
Actually, we're not the parents. We're just donators. They don't care for us. They don't give a shit for your free will. They don't care you will want to see the children one day. You want to visit these products one day. No, you're not going to have children visits at home. No children will be walking in through your walls like some ET contact. No portals will be open. No, you're not going to pet the kid in your hand in some dream states. Once your genetic material is taken, that is it. So this is why many people say, well, what's the point of being in the program? Logical question, valid question. What is the point for 20 years of your eggs being removed against your free will without you even knowing? Well, soul agreed. The soul has a purpose. Soul has an agreement with this race. But in my opinion, again, I go back to why I left that program is I don't think it's fair for a human to be involved in these hybrid programs for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years and have absolutely no awareness of it or have no benefit of it. What's the benefit? Having sex in the astral state? Well, why not just masturbate before bed? Why just rely on that? I think human beings are too powerful in order for us to just be there for other groups and other races, whether they're reptilian or YahYel or Sassani, to take advantage of our energy, but also to take advantage of our genetic material.
When a race of being hybridizes with another race and the consciousness level is very, very different, one is much higher than the other, one is much lower than the other, where do the offspring fall?
The offspring will fall based on who the main dominant parent is. So for example, if KALASK was to donate 1%, but another race donates 99%, KALASK is no longer in any way in question. They're not going to ask KALASK on anything. They're going to look at the parent. It's the parent race, the dominant parent, that's going to shape and groom that offspring, that child, that product, into what they want to groom him in. So if you look at Spartan soldiers or the Roman soldiers, what's the first thing they've done to children, little babies? Well, as soon as they were born, within a few months or a year, they've removed that from the parent. Parents never saw the babies. They went into military school. I've asked KALASK directly, what happens with your children? I've asked THETA TAURI, what happens with your children? They can have 900 children, they can have 90. They don't care. Not because they have no hearts, that they don't care in that way. Not because they have no morals or ethics or empathy. It's just that they breed to reproduce military race, military groups, military formations and brigades and hybrid groups. So it's the same way, really, is when the child is created, it goes to be groomed by the parent who holds more of a dominant presence in that child's life.
Upon successful hybridization in draconian races, would the souls of the parent race ever want to incarnate in the hybridized race?
Oh, sure, of course, but not the whole consciousness. It wouldn't be possible. They would take a tiny little fractal, minuscule little part to be involved still, but that is it. This is why draconian beings only incarnate with their tiny little fractals. I've looked into the traces of how much draconian DNA I have. I wanted to know. And there's only a little fractal. Why? Well, because they couldn't put more. If they placed more, it would burn through my body. So it's the same principle, the way it works with the process on the question that you've just asked.
Would a draconian hybridized race assume full powers of a draconian?
Definitely not, because there's a hierarchy system in place. Draconian Empire had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pureblood races. And then they have thousands and thousands more of the hybrid races. But that hybrid group was created, and it is always created for one or two reasons, one or two purposes. So they wouldn't give them full powers. I'll give you an example. Imagine if the United States military has the most advanced and secret plane that's used in war. One of these jets that we see from time to time, the bombers, those kind of jets. Now imagine that the United States military takes 20 of those and sells them to some country just to make some money off of that country. Would they give all the features in that plane to that country? Well, of course not, because that country can reverse engineer the plane. So they'll give them certain features. So it's the same way. If a pureblood draconian race, and I've met over 21 groups now, 21 races, they want to recreate 5 or 6 hybrid groups. These hybrid groups will be used only for certain things. They will have 10% DNA, 15% DNA of pure blood draconian.
Do draconians have a collective raising their young? Since there's no tight-knit families, do they raise their young collectively?
No, each race really raises their own child. Each race is responsible for their own child. I've met children by the THETA TAURI. I've met children by the Demon Ga. I've met children of Morkul. I've met children even of one member of the Sakar. I've met children of different hybrid groups that belong to the Empire, especially the young ones, the children of KALASK. Each race is responsible for those children and those offshoots or those products. They have a parent, they have a father, they have a laboratory where they were created, or even the terminology clone would be appropriate. So not the laboratory technician would be responsible for raising that offspring. It's the father. Who is the father who donated the DNA? The culture of that race would be embedded, installed inside of that offspring, inside of that child. So imagine you had a race of, let's say, Sikar. How could they raise someone that's within Morkul, or someone that is within Vortak? How can they raise someone that's from Skra? All these different races. So each race is responsible for their own children.
Most people today don't know of their genetic history. How many do you think do know in your estimation?
I would say the DNA tracing and the history of our DNA, we're only using 2 terminologies in English in the spiritual community, and I often see them being used by the amateurs, and they'll say we have 12 contributions and they are Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan, and Syrian. Okay, what about the others? They don't know the others. But if we break down the origin of those others, the terminology is not known to human beings. Terminology of those roots is not known right now in the spiritual industry. This is why humans just repeat 4 or 5 groups, Pleiadian, Arcturian, blah, blah, blah. It's the same repeated information over and over and over. So how many would know? Not really, not many would know at all. Anyway, if you're channeling, you get into channeling, some serious channeling, trance channeling. I'm a trance channeler. So you'll be able to ask your beings, hey, listen, can you do a quick analysis of my origin? Where was my soul created? My soul, actually, first incarnation, where was it? Where was my last incarnation? Who contributed towards this percentage? Who contributed towards love? Who contributed towards, let's just say, fight and flight? How much of the spinal fluid is activated? How many keys are activated? So you're able to find this information out through channeling or hiring a channeler that's competent, authentic, the real trance channeling. But this is how I was able to trace back my own. But most of the time, people just don't know.
Do you think there will ever be a mass contact or mass landing to meet these hybrids?
Yes, of course. And they're going to be handing out free med beds and hugs and kisses and rides on Lord Ashtar's ship as Galactic Federation is just going to applaud and say, yes, Earthlings, you finally entered the 5th dimension. Let's cut the bullshit. It's not going to happen. Let's stop drinking the Kool-Aid here. The Kool-Aid of the Galactic Federation of Light cult members. None of these things are going to happen. Anyone that proposes mass landing, they're lying intentionally or they're truly gullible. Anyone that proposes open contact, they're, again, lying intentionally or truly gullible. Earth itself, right now, as is, we have far bigger problems to solve and fix on our own, to improve ourselves, expand psychically, especially expand mentally and also emotionally, fix our problems, heal our traumas, etc., get our shit together, stop being so divided and arrogant and ignorant to one another. But also, too, we have to advance. We, as a race, we have to advance. Even though governments have a lot of technology, gifted 2,000 to 2,500 years of gifted technology, given technology, we still all have to sort of move forward a little bit. We can't be stuck just spending our times watching Netflix and TikTok and awaiting some external saviors to land and federations because they ain't coming. So the mass landing, open contact, absolutely not. This will not happen. And one of the things you also can notice is that every year we have fraudulent channelings, and that channeling will tell you the same thing. Next year, contact's coming. So in 2023, we have 2024 mass contact. In 24 comes 2025 mass contact. This year, what do we see this year right now on the internet? 26 contacts coming. These are radical lies. Nothing's going to happen, and humans aren't ready to stand in front of a being who's 15 foot tall, has 3 heads, or has a head size of a TV, or reptilians, or aquatic beings, or zetas. We're not there yet. We haven't even fixed our traumas yet, not to mention ancestral trauma, which only gets activated when we stand in front of an extraterrestrial because of the DNA memories.